just about see us all here. We've come to the church of Stoke Minster primarily because it's absolutely chock-a-block full of history. So we've got the graves of Josiah Spode and Josiah Wedgwood here and their families. We've got the remains of a Saxon cross from 807 when the church was rebuilt from the original timber structure, which was built in 470. So there's a lot going on here. Now, last time we came, John and I were lucky enough to get a guided tour which told us a lot more about it, but unfortunately we're just kind of going a bit on my memory this time and John's memory, so hopefully you enjoy what we do remember. The name Stoke comes from an Old English word meaning a place, signifying a holy place. A Saxon cross survives in the churchyard, suggesting that this was an ancient sacred site. The first wooden church was replaced in the year 805. Early 19th century illustrations of Stoke Old Church show a stone-built structure which mostly dates from the 13th century, with the addition of a 14th century tower. Gargoyles from this church were later incorporated in a terrace of houses in the adjacent Brook Street. By the 1920s, Stoke Church was no longer large enough to accommodate its growing congregation. In 1826, the foundations were laid for the present church, to be finally consecrated in 1830. The graves of Josiah Wedgwood, 1730 to 1795, and Josiah Spode, 1733 to 1797, can both be found in the churchyard. Right, now we're wandering up to the church itself. This is the present church, present day church, obviously, because the original is gone. The information I've got says the first church on the site was built of timber in 670, which was replaced with a stone building in 805, which was extended over the centuries. The remains of this Anglo-Saxon former collegiate church survive in the churchyard, which we'll go and look at in a minute. The re-erected arches date from the 13th century, when the chancel was rebuilt. Saxon evidence survives in the baptismal font, rescued from use as a garden ornament and restored in 1932 for baptismal use. The church is the burial place of several generations of Josiah Spode's family and Josiah Wedgwood's. So this is the entrance to the church. Got some interesting looking gargoyles over the doors. Very interesting.
Might be if we can't go inside.
No, it's closed. See, as you look around, the gravestones here are very old. And if we head this way to the right, see here this kind of stone pillar that's surrounded by railings. That is the original Saxon cross that was put here. So obviously the railings are here to protect it. So it's got a plaque on the bottom that says this fragment of a pre-Norman cross identified by Chas Lynham FSA was re-erected near its original position in the 25th year of the reign of His Majesty King George V. So this dates back, I think this is the one that dates back from 870. So it's very, very old. So it's a fragment of cross. Very old. And I believe if we go this way, we're going to come across the graves of the Spode family. So here, these gravestones are of the Spode family. The most recent ones are from 1824, as Sarah Spode died, and there's a gravestone for their son who died in 1786, aged 2 weeks. It's very sad.
It is.
And then we've got, can't quite read that one, but it's the daughter of Josiah Spode. And this one's in memory of Eliza, daughter of Josiah Spode, who died in 1795, I think it says, and she was only 16. Very young.
Also quite sad.
Here we've got the original entrance to the church. And this would have been the front, this was the part that was at the front of the church, the original church, the arches. And we did come on a tour here once and told us where the chancel was and where the baptismal font was and that kind of thing. This is Josiah Wedgwood's grave here that's surrounded by this railing. So if we just come round a bit. So this is Josiah Wedgwood's memorial. Josiah Wedgwood, 1730 to 1795. So this is where he's buried.
He was 65 years old.
Yeah.
Or 64.
So the church that we can see over there, he wouldn't have worshipped in because it wouldn't have been built then. So he would have worshipped in this original one here. But we can see the stone archways remaining. So his actual memorial would have been inside the church at the time this church was still standing. So he would have been inside. Now he's outside, now it's been rebuilt. So here we're at another place with railings around it, and this is the site of the altar and sanctuary of the ancient church. So I'm guessing this was the one that was built in 807. So this was the original site of the altar. So it's always been on these grounds. It's just moved about. I wonder where the original wooden one was. I wonder if it's near the cross that we saw. Just wandered back up to the current church, which is relatively modern. This one was built, well, building started in 1826 and it was finished in 1830. And inside there are many ceramic memorials to many of the potters of the district. The west tower has a ring of 10 bells, and the tower also has a clock with a single bell. And the organ inside was built in 1899 as a house organ for the master potter H.J. Johnson. Johnson gave the organ to the church in 1921 as a memorial to members of his family who died in the First World War. It was installed and changed on the West Gallery and rebuilt in 1972. Now, unfortunately, the church building itself is closed, so we can't go and see the ceramic memorials or the organ or the original Saxon baptismal font that's in there, which is a shame. We came here one time and we were lucky enough to get a guided tour where we got shown all these different things and some of the significant gravestones got pointed out.
It was a riveting story.
It was really interesting. I just didn't realise how much history there was here.
No.
And I think the newest gravestones here are from the 1800s. So they're the newest. But we've got ones that are a lot older and unfortunately aren't readable. So it's full of interesting history anyway, and definitely worth a visit if you're in the area and if you're lucky enough to get a guided tour. That's brilliant. This is an interesting looking kind of stone, looks like a stone bench almost, and it's covered in ceramic tiles, and it says on this side wildlife, and it says here on this side, this mosaic celebrates the industrial heritage of Stoke, the history of the church and our aspirations for the future. So this looks like it was done by, I don't know who it was done by. It says, bring good news to the poor, proclaim release to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to let the oppressed go free, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favour. Bishop Lovelace Stamer. And it's got all sorts of ceramic stuff on here. I think this was done by children, looking at that one at the church, and it was done by children, perhaps at a local primary school.
I like that.
Oh, and here we've got, if you can see it because we're in a bit of shadow here, this is a tribute to Stanley Matthews, gentleman footballer legend, 1915 to 2000. This is really interesting.
Yeah.
So I think this was done in 2000. It says 2000 AD. So I think they did this in 2000. Perhaps as a celebration. Right, we've had a wander around, just the outside because the church is shut unfortunately, so we haven't gotten to see inside the Saxon baptismal font they've got in there. That would have been interesting to see, but unfortunately all that's closed at the moment. So we've just had a wander around the graveyard, so we've seen the original cross from 1870 and the altar that was from that time as well, and when the church was rebuilt, and then obviously the modern church. I say modern because that was finished in 1830, but compared to everything else here, it is modern.
It's the most modern of
It
the
is.
things that we have.
It certainly is. But it's so full of history here, and it's quite peaceful, even though you've got some main roads going around, which I guess weren't here back in those days. Not very likely. It's still very peaceful, and it's nice to come here on a sunny day and just soak up the history and the peacefulness of the place. So we've had a look at the family graves of the Spode family. We've seen Josiah Wedgwood's as well, and we've seen some of the old graves. As I said in the video, I don't think there's anything newer than the 1800s memorial wise, so it's all very old. Anyway, thanks for joining us. If you like this video, please do give us a thumbs up, and if you don't already, please hit the subscribe button and you'll never miss one of our weekly uploads. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Right now.